Hey guys, Joe Piezinski here from Advanced Innovations. Welcome back to my shop. You know, the final inspiration to make the decision to go forward with the video you're about to watch came from a lot of your comments on this mini lathe series that I'm doing. So thank you very much. If you enjoy this and you are not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Help me grow this channel. That would be very much appreciated, and a great way to say thank you for the effort that it takes to make these videos. So if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. Thank you for all the good comments. Thank you for all the emails, messages, and gifts that show up. I really do appreciate it. I am truly blessed to have you as my community. Let's do the video, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, leave me a comment. Let's do it. Let's take a closer look at the setup. I am going to cut this part with a 1/4-inch 2-flute carbide end mill. If all goes well, this should go relatively quick. The part on the x-axis is lined up by eye. Now, we're assuming that the rotary table, is concentric and true and aligned to the spindle. Okay, that's the first assumption. Set the rotary table on there, get it close, unlock the table, put the indicator on the table, move the table, sweep the spindle. That is the most accurate way you can do it. Now, people may argue, but I can tell you from experience, that is the most accurate way to do it. This part is going to have a 5/8 shift, 625 shift. So in here, this backlight compensator is killing me today. Hang on a second. There we go. I have two parallels. One of the parallels is 5/8 and the other one is it really doesn't matter, so long as the whole part is within the boundary of this blank. When I need to move from one center on the rotary table to the other center, I will unloosen that clamp right there, remove this parallel, slide the entire vise over. Yes, you could move the part, but not so much of a fan of moving a part once surfaces are established. So let's get after this real quick and see if you can figure out exactly what it is I'm going to be making. If you have any questions, by all means put them in the comment line if I've skipped over anything. This little bar in the back here is my x-axis 0. This is in line with the movement of the machine, while the dial, thus dial, is on 0. Okay. Let's make some chips. Real time, 3:00 p.m. Okay, anybody care to venture a guess what we're doing here? I gotta go get a piece and see if it fits that little feature on the end. Sorry about the shake, guys. This is extremely small and this is on a long boom, so go get something and see if it fits. Now, in all fairness to my community, I did have to go back in there and take another 1/1000 off of all 6 sides. But yep, there you go. You guys dared me to do it, so I figured I would do it. There is the spanner wrench for the tailstock. That's what I'm making. I'm going to make the offset now. I'm going to finish up the other end. Flip it over, cut it off. It is a 126 hex. .2 millimeter hex. One end will be box and the other end will be open. Like I said in the beginning of this video, you can shift your piece if you have a positive stop and you know how far to move it. But in order to get from the box or the hex end to the open end on this particular miniature wrench, I'm going to move the whole setup back by removing one of the parallels. And this is just a stopper bar to make sure some of the torque from the massive cuts that have been happening don't throw this out of location. So there is a stop in the back side of the vise, back here, to keep it from moving in the x-axis. I'm just going to slide it back against the parallel that remains. There you go. 625 shift in that direction. And that is just about 16 millimeters if you're curious how big this is. 16 millimeters. And that's also the center to center distance on this little wrench. 625 or 16 millimeters. And no, I'm not going to make a whole set. Don't even think about it. Good God. Okay, real time is 1 hour right till this point. 60 minutes. That's imperial 60 minutes. Probably pretty close to metric 60 minutes, but who knows. Okay, let's open up the end here. And then we're going to add another little feature just to make it pretty. And as promised, the final element. All right, let's pop it out, get a closer look on the bench. A little noise in the cutter, but that's going to blend out easily with a gentle emery. Open it on one side, box on the other side. There you go. I may or may not show the cutoff. I'm not sure. I'm kind of digging it just the way it is. I'll leave you hanging for the rest. I was going to leave you hanging on how I'm going to remove this from this particular block, but I've got a change of heart and I'm going to throw it back in the machine and I'm going to show you. So, I mean, that's half the job, right? Anybody can do this. Getting it off there and making it look like a wrench, that's a whole different animal. Let's get it back on the machine and take it off. First step in the process is to return the part to the vise and make sure that it is under the center of the drill chuck. It does not have to be over the center of the rotary table at this time. I'm using a gauge pin to make sure that I am visually aligned with the hex. And since there were parallels underneath this part in the first operation, I was unable to drill a hole through this, but I'm going to drill a hole and ream a hole right through that hex so that I can reverse this part and pick up my location without being able to see the part. That's step one. Let's do it. During the final machining process, the grip is going to be very superficial, so I'm going to put this in this vise over here, and I'm going to mill the top half off with a real good grip on it. Then I will reposition it for the final operation. If there are any calculations to be made about how thick you want your part, now's the time to know from the surface you just established. Once this is clamped up for the final machining, you're not going to be able to access anything to measure it. I'll make my calculations now and I'll know how far down from here I need to go to get to my final dimension. I'm going to put the rotary table back on center. I'm going to put a gauge pin in a drill chuck and I'm going to pick up that hole. And I'm going to float this in there until it drops down into the vise, lock it off, and we'll start machining. Every once in a while you need a projection on a parallel that just doesn't come in a stock size. And if you don't feel like making a parallel to do that, well, this is how I overcame it on this particular setup. I use adjustable parallels front and rear resting on the rotary table, and you can adjust them however you want to get whatever exposure of the part you need. One front, one in the rear. Keep that in mind, that's a really good trick. If you don't have a parallel that will work, banking on the vise, well, bank on what the vise is banking on and shim it up, just like that. Works like a charm. Let's set this piece up, finish it out. The rotary table has been returned to central under the machine axis. Drill chuck is in and the pin is the same size as the hole I reamed in the blank. I'm going to put the part on the pin. Drop the pin down into the vise. Tighten it up. I have about a 1 millimeter grip on this part right now, so the milling is going to be very gentle. I always say if the chip exceeds the grip, you can bet the part will slip. So on a very superficial grip like this, do not bury a cutter in this and go hogging away, because chances are that part's going to launch and let you know you did something wrong. Let's put a cutter in there, relieve the center out, and see what we can do about getting that wrench out of there. With a simple offset and the depth now calculated, I'm going to turn the high bosses on either end before I knock the center out, and then we'll release the actual part. Okay, finish pass. Very much like the first side operation, I will now shift the entire setup that way, 625, and do this exact same operation to the other side before knocking the center out. All right, because we're doing the other side, I am on the other side of the part. I'm going to swing a clockwise arc this time. I am still going to climb cut, but we're going to form the, you can see the elevation forming on the wrench right now. Right in this pocket, right there. Here we go. Now, if anyone is curious, that minuscule little piece right there is the only thing holding this wrench to the end block. I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to snip this off with a pair of wire cutters and sand that to boot. So that's how I'm going to do the other end as well. And in case you're wondering, that's exactly what's going on. And I think I'll thin this web out right here just so it's a little easier to do downstream. There we go. That is about as far as I'm going to push my luck here. If I go any further, this web on the end is going to release, and the possibility of this lifting up into that cutter is pretty good. I'll take it over to the bench and flex these like any other break-off tab and file it in. How cool is that? Alright, you see the little shelves I left on the end for the breakaways. I will file those off, hit this on a wheel, and shine it up. That's a beautiful thing. I'll be right back. Oh, that's all you get, guys. That's I'm not going to make a whole set. No, this one took way too long. Actually, it only took a couple hours. There was some blending going on. There was some hand polishing going on. But this is a tailstock wrench. I'm going to use this. Actually, I'm going to leave it on the tailstock like most of the old machines had a wrench hanging out. And I know that they were only one end, but the one screw or the one nut on my tailstock is too close to the casting for the closed side. So open combination wrench it had to be. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Joe Pye and Advanced Innovations in Austin, Texas. I'm out.